All right, morning there, YouTube. Got the old hubby cup. Anyways, this video is going in the tips and tricks and how to succeed online, and it's not one of those. It has nothing to do with getting a secret tool or getting a software or getting a what is it? A cool make money online method. It has nothing to do with that, and it has to do with succeeding in anything that you do. So I'm constantly asked, what's the number one piece of advice that you would give someone to help them succeed? Now, a little bit of backstory here is I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life. So at one point I found myself living on the street for a while. I was working for somebody after that, or I wasn't making very good money and I wanted my own business. So I kind of have an understanding of how this whole thing works, and I've been able to help a lot of people generate a lot of money online. But it also turns out I've been able to help other people in other ways change things. So that's what I wanted to do with this video here, was just let you know kind of what the number one thing that I can give you, the number one piece of advice I can give you if your business isn't working or you're finding consistent struggles with one thing. An example of how this works is I gave this piece of advice to someone who didn't really ask for it, made way more money than I do, but fitness was big for me. Being at the gym was huge. And he asked me, he said, so like, how are you getting into this? And like, what's going on with the business? And like, how's the gym? And like, how are you keeping it all together? Because I don't find the time. I used to be this guy who could lift a lot of weight. Now I'm just this fat bastard. It was a pretty open dialogue. So one of the things that I said, and I always tell people, is that you have a story that you are constantly telling yourself in the background. So it doesn't matter, it comes up. A lot of people wear their stories as if they're like a badge of honor. So for me, it was like, we lost everything in 2008. And I hung on to that story for a long, long time. And I was unable to clear everything because it was a very victim kind of mindset. Like, there was a big collapse and like people weren't building, and like, we lost all this and we lost all that, and every day for 7 days I got these phone calls where we were losing work. I lived in that story over and over and over and over and over again, and I got shitty job after shitty job after shitty job. So I continued to tell myself that story, and in his case, what he was telling me was that he used to do all this stuff, right? So that was his story. I couldn't do that anymore. I'm too far gone, I'm too far past that. But he was telling himself this story consistently over and over. And we all have these stories that we tell ourselves, that if you consistently tell yourself that story enough, like, I don't have time because of the kids, I don't have enough money to do this, it's too hard to succeed, or whatever. I don't know what your story is that you're telling yourself, but if you can be honest enough with yourself for 10 minutes to dive in and think back of all the things you tell people in the story that consistently comes forward for you, you're going to realize that if you drop that story, you're going to find the story, right? Think back, look in, get real honest, think about it. You're going to find out what that story is. And then once you know what that story is, you can begin to stop telling it, and you can begin telling a new story. So, example is, let's say you're working for like, I don't know, $10 an hour or some crazy thing like that, right? Like, oh, I only make $10 an hour. I got 4 kids I got to feed. I got a wife who's on disability. I got all this. So if that's your story and you're here trying to change on the internet, perhaps it's time to actually go in and look and see what other limiting things you tell yourself that create this entire encompassing story. And maybe it's time to be, I'm an online entrepreneur, right? That's what I do. I'm an online marketer, or I run an e-commerce business, or whatever, wherever you're going. Maybe you have a coaching business that you want to sell, even though you're not making much money right now. You're very good at something and you want to coach people, and there's demand for it. It's time to start telling yourself those stories, and then it's time to start sharing those stories, because here's the thing. Your stories are going to keep you stuck. Or your stories are going to liberate you into a new way of life, becoming the person that you want to become, doing the things that you want to do. So it's up to you. Now, I know this isn't a super long video. I don't want to keep it a long video. I just wanted to make this to the point, and it sounds really simple. But if you can change your story, you will start walking, you will start talking, you will start believing, and you will start existing like the person that you actually want to be, the living the life that you actually want to live. The doors open up, the opportunities open up. I can't explain why it happens. I don't want to be the law of attraction guru. In fact, it has nothing to do with that. It's just about telling yourself a story and making sure that you're telling yourself the right one. Because if you're consistently telling yourself a story of struggle or telling other people a story of your struggle, you're going to find that you're struggling over and over and over and over again. And when you're struggling like that, it's really hard to get out. But if you're looking at life from a place of freedom where, hey, yeah, maybe some of these things are going on in the background, but I have this opportunity to build, move forward, and grow. So every day, that's what I'm doing. I'm building on my dreams. I'm becoming more. I'm becoming a bigger success. I'm working harder. I'm doing the things that I need to do. This is where I'm going. You're constantly telling yourself that story. So even when something bad happens, you have to revert back to that story. Don't let the old story creep up. And the more you tell yourself that, the more and more that story is going to come to actual life. It's truth. I get so many thank yous from talking about the story with people. And it's really a simple thing that you have to be paying attention to, and you have to be willing to understand that this is actually an important thing. You might think that it's about how do I get my autoresponder set up, or how do I get more traffic to my website, or how do I make more sales with my emails. Well, the truth of the matter is it doesn't, none of that really matters, because if you're telling yourself the same story, even if you do get more traffic, even if you do get more clicks, chances are really good that you're going to end up just screwing it up, living your old story. Honesty alert. That's what happens, right? It's so you start having a level of success, but because you're constantly stuck in this old story, and that's what you're telling yourself, even though you have those moments of joy, those moments of excitement, you end up reverting back because it's got this strong magnetic pull. Your past, your story, what you tell yourself, what your excuses, whatever the victim mindset might be, you're pulling yourself with that story. So from here on, from today forward, it's time to start telling yourself a new story. I don't know what that story is going to be for you, but every day I'm working on refining my story and making sure that my story reflects who I am, who I want to be, and the things that I hope to get done in life. So that's it for this video. I hope that some of you found this helpful. And again, this is in the How to Succeed online, but it's more to how to succeed in anything that you're trying to do. Change your story, change your life. Later.